up, guys? This is Juju Talk Sports. That's Jose Corral. This is 49 Reasons to Listen. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're about to have an episode to put some respect on my man's name. So we talked about the Madden ratings. Okay, Jimmy G, 83. But that is not the worst evaluation of Jimmy G that has been brought to our table this month. Chris Sims, former NFL quarterback, has Jimmy Garoppolo in his top 40 rankings as the 20th ranked QB in the NFL, behind such notable names as Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, Philip Rivers, Josh Allen, and Derek Carr. Now, Jose, out of those names I listed, because we're both in agreement that we think Jimmy's closer to top 10, who is the most egregious to have Jimmy ranked behind?
I think putting Ryan Tannehill ahead of him, that far ahead, 9 spots ahead of him, especially because if you remember, Ryan Tannehill didn't even play the whole season, really. He basically lost the starting. He couldn't outbeat Marcus Mariota until the start of the season. The only reason he even got playing time is because Marcus Mariota was just terrible, and Mike Vrabel had no other choice but to put him in there towards the middle of the season. So putting him that much of a gap between Ryan Tannehill and Jimmy Garoppolo is just super egregious. The next one, Derek Carr, putting him ahead of him. Don't get me wrong, I like Derek Carr. I've always liked Derek Carr since he's been the starter in Oakland. I feel like he, probably just lacks maybe a better offensive line, a little bit more help, but he's not better than Jimmy Garoppolo. That's definitely not the case. To put him ahead, he's really done nothing in his career to prove that he is better than a quarterback that just went to the Super Bowl, that just took a 4-12 team to the Super Bowl.
Sorry to cut in here, but
Go ahead.
Derek Carr, I think when you throw the ball away on 4th down twice in your career, I think that should, immediately put you behind Jimmy. Jimmy makes a lot of bonehead decisions, a lot, and that's probably why you could knock him the most. But throwing the ball away on a situation in which you have no other downs and the game is on the line is something that I know for a fact is not in Jimmy's DNA. He would rather throw it to every middle linebacker in the league than throw the ball away on the final drive.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it. Derek Carr has done nothing to solidify him to be ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo. Nothing late game situation, obviously, that you just mentioned. Not even the numbers wise. Jimmy Garoppolo put up better numbers in basically every category this past season when both of them started every single game. So, I mean, for him to put him to put him over Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr over Jimmy Garoppolo, I would even argue Kirk Cousins. We saw what happened. Yeah, I guess the Niners have a little bit more of a dominant defense than the Vikings. That played into it. But they just played in the last postseason. We saw what happened. Kirk Cousins could not even do a 3-step drop back in the freaking in the pocket without getting demolished. And a lot of it has to do is because he usually kind of lets go the ball super late. He holds onto the ball quite a lot. I don't really hate on Kirk Cousins like people like to do on social media, but I definitely wouldn't put him ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo either. Especially because we just saw, if you would have put Kirk Cousins on a 4-12 team, he wouldn't take him to a Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo did that. Jimmy Garoppolo went in as the starter this past season, took over a 4-12 football team who the reason why they were 4-12 is because he wasn't able to play most of the season the year before. So to put a guy like Kirk Cousins ahead of him as well was pretty egregious for me to see.
Yeah, and the thing about the Kirk Cousins one is Niners fans have heard this connection for the last 2 years consistently because Kirk's Kyle's boy. Of course, the Niners are going to go after Kirk Cousins. Hell, if Kirk didn't sign that extension this year, this entire season we would hear Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins. Kyle's going to make that trade. Kyle would have made that trade. If that was to happen, Kyle would have already made that trade. This would have not been a debate. And you talk about just adding a quarterback to a unique situation like that, like taking Kirk Cousins, putting him on a 4-12 team. Well, we saw what happened when you took Kirk Cousins and put him on an NFC championship team, and that team went backwards. They regressed. They didn't elevate to that Super Bowl level that everyone in Minneapolis was hoping they would have seen whenever they added Kirk Cousins. You mean you're telling me that you couldn't elevate a team that Case Keenum took to the NFC Championship game. And I hate that we keep coming back to this, but is it really that apparent that Jimmy Garoppolo is no better than like Nick Mullins? Like, we've seen this script play out. A 4-12 team to a 13-3 team doesn't just happen. It's not like it's just Kyle is such a great head coach. I mean, I love Kyle. I think that Kyle is fantastic. But at the end of the day, we got to call a spade and say that those first 2 years, or more specifically in games that he does not have Jimmy, the record bears out. I mean, this team has only won 6 games outside of having Jimmy Garoppolo starting. And if we're going to say that Ryan Tannehill is fantastic and that Jimmy Garoppolo just hands the ball off to those running backs, what was Ryan Tannehill doing in basically the entire postseason? Basically Tennessee's entire run. That man that they just paid, Derrick Henry, King Henry, that's who Ryan Tannehill has been relying on as a crutch. He made some decent throws, and I liked Ryan Tannehill coming back. Don't get me wrong, but he basically missed his entire rookie contract in Miami under Adam Gase. That was just a huge missed opportunity. And hey, say what you want about having Adam Gase as your coach in general, but the job was his to have, and he just couldn't stay healthy. Which jury's still out if Jimmy can consistently stay healthy over time. But I think that Jimmy's injuries tend to be a little bit more freak, whereas Ryan Tannehill, I mean, he's missed a significant amount of time and hasn't really he's never played a full season. Jimmy just played his full season. Well, that tells me a lot in that comparison there. And then some of the other ones. So Ben Roethlisberger at 14, we don't know what kind of Ben we're going to get. Like, Ben's coming off Tommy John surgery. You want to talk about that same draft class, Phillip Rivers being ahead of him at 17? If you're giving Jimmy crap for turning the ball over, let's not forget that Phillip Rivers had over 20 interceptions this year and is definitely on the backslide of his career. And on a new team, we don't know what we're going to get out of Phillip Rivers in Indianapolis. To be frank, he's probably going to be in a situation where he's probably handing the ball off a lot. I don't see him going to Indy and them just airing it out. I think they just wanted a competent quarterback that wasn't going to force the ball, which Phil probably will. I mean, he said it in press conferences before. He doesn't care if he throws 90 interceptions. But even Matt Stafford at 9, that one I'm kind of looking at too. I'm like, what has Matt Stafford accomplished in his career, if we're being honest about it?
Right.
I've heard Colin Cowherd throw out this comparison that he's just Andy Dalton with better arm strength. And I'm not doubting that comparison's pretty apt. I mean, the Lions have continued to be a fledgling franchise throughout Matthew Stafford's entire career. They've gone to the playoffs a couple times, but haven't won a single playoff game. That kind of tells me a lot, everything I need to really know about that situation. Because, again, Jimmy, 4-12 team, Super Bowl team. Matthew Stafford had – it's not like Matthew Stafford's never had talent there. He had arguably one of the greatest wide receiving talents of all time there.
Yeah.
He had Golden Tate behind him. He had Kenny Golladay now. So, come on. Throw some respect on some of the weapons that he's had available to him. But when Chris Sims also did this, he also had Cam Newton top 10 as well, while Cam was a free agent. That's also a bit of an eyesore. Kyler Murray at 12, I mean, you're banking on potential there. And then we go down, and the list too here. I mean, even if I'm just aside from Jimmy, like Aaron Rodgers still is a top 3 quarterback. I don't know. Not over Deshaun, not over Lamar.
Right.
Yeah. So
seeing all of that and seeing where he kind of placed a lot of the guys, I think makes me just kind of question Chris Sims at this point. I mean, at this point, you just have to look at it and watch the games. Watch the games where Nick Mullins started. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Nick Mullins fan. I'm not blaming him for the 4-12 season, the season before. But it's a night and day difference with that offense. That offense did not change much at all. The only major difference was maybe Deebo Samuel and Emmanuel Sanders, really. And it was a night and day difference just watch the games. And I know Chris Sims watches football. I mean, he gets paid to do that. And I know he watches it. He's been around the game literally in his entire life. So I don't understand where he looks at the Niners offense and watches them be a pass away from winning the Super Bowl and being like, you know what, the guy that's leading them right now, the guy that's under center, he's the 20th best quarterback in the league. And the guy that's in his division, the guy that had a decent rookie season, is 8 spots ahead of him. What? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Come on.
I'm like, just watch the games. Don't even watch the games. Look at the stat lines. Jimmy is not even a stat guy. Whenever we bring up Jimmy, it's more of a leadership thing. It's more of a kind of like a guy you want to have on your team type of guy.
Brady-esque.
It's not really like Brady-esque. He's super Brady-esque. He's not going to have these crazy stat lines. But even if you do go by the stats, he's ahead of a lot of these guys that he got put ahead of. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Is there like a hatred in the media just towards Jimmy Garoppolo? Is there jealousy? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it could possibly be. With Stephen A. Smith, I was like, okay, Stephen A. Smith, he's more of an NBA guy. He's more of a basketball guy. I'll give him that. A lot of this first take stuff, a lot of it is just to kind of get people riled up anyway. Mm-hmm. So for that one, I was just like, okay, Stephen A., say whatever you got to say. But whenever a former quarterback, the son of a Super Bowl champion, is over here saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is the 20th best quarterback and that Ryan Tannehill is 9 spots ahead of him and that Cam Newton is a whole 10 spots ahead of him whenever he hasn't played, is just kind of it's just jaw-dropping to me. And I'm just like, I don't understand where that came from. Watch the games, Chris Sims. And if you don't want to watch the games, look at the stat lines. That's it.
Do you think Mike Florio and him just have an internal competition who could be more like petty or hate on this, this guy so much? I mean, I just don't get why he's so polarizing at this point. And I think that it's only fair that we kind of rank Jimmy ourselves with this. So yeah. We're being unbiased here when we say it's not like we're saying Jimmy Garoppolo is the best quarterback in the league. Obviously, we know that. That man is making close to $1 million or $1 billion or $500 million, and that's Patrick Mahomes. So number one spot, fine. You got that one, Chris Sims. That one, might as well put that on a T as far as who's the number one quarterback in the league. Second, Russell Wilson. I'm fine with that. Okay,
I'm fine with that.
Russell Wilson. He was an MVP candidate last year. He's always just consistency. Doesn't matter the pieces around him, and Lord knows he's given Niners fans enough headaches for years. Again, Aaron Rodgers at 3. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying this version of Aaron Rodgers. In fact, I think Madden may even had him too high based off the Aaron Rodgers I've seen over the last couple years. I think Aaron Rodgers is really just cruising on name value at this point, especially at number 3. I think the number 3 is Deshaun Watson. I mean, going back to college, everything he's done at Clemson, he's a passer first, and I think that's going to give me an advantage over Lamar. I think I might have Carson Wentz 4, and maybe that's my banking on potential. But I think if Carson Wentz can stay healthy an entire season, which big if, don't get me wrong, big if, I think he could bounce back. I mean, he was throwing to just Greg Ward Jr. last year and led that team to the playoffs. That's enough said. That's earned his value. Lamar, I'm still waiting on that next step in the development plan, but I think it's hard to not have the MVP in the top 5. So put him at 5 for me. Okay, well, let's see here. Then what do I have left to deal with? I have Matt Ryan. I guess I'll give Matt Ryan the edge over Jimmy just because former MVP. You have to give some credence to that. Both are coming off the Kyle Shanahan system, and it'll be interesting what Jimmy does in his essentially 3rd year of Kyle. Dak Prescott, I'm not feeling it. I mean, Dak has more talent on the offensive side of the ball than Jimmy and went 8-8 last year.
Yeah.
Better offensive line, Zeke at running back, Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy would kill for an Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Maybe Debo. That may be Debo, but I don't think that you can honestly have Dak ahead of Jimmy, to be honest. Maybe, and then that's where you do get into that territory. Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy. I take Jimmy over Aaron Rodgers. That's a controversial thing to say, but I believe it. I mean, I just feel like I've seen the tape. I've seen them match up twice now last year. And even in that game, the Jimmy only handed the ball off threw the ball eight times.
Yeah.
Those 8 pass attempts were better than anything I saw from Aaron Rodgers that entire game. So, top 8. Where are you on that? Like, is there anyone that I didn't mention that you would have over Jimmy at the moment?
No. There's no one that you mentioned right now that I would have him over.
Tom Brady. I mean, we can.
Tom Brady.
We're talking about we're talking about.
I would still put Tom Brady. I would still put Tom Brady over him. If we're talking about the 2020 season, I would still put Tom Brady over Jimmy Garoppolo. And I have no issues with that. And I'm sure Jimmy wouldn't have issues with that either. They're both really good friends. So I think for me, Jimmy is right on the crisp right there. Top 10, no farther than 12. I'm not going to list off 11 quarterbacks that I would rather – actually, if you want to talk about rather have, Jimmy's in my top 10 for sure. But if we're talking about just right now at the moment, the best quarterbacks, I can't think of 11 guys that I could put ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo after what I just saw in his first complete season in San Francisco, his first complete season in the NFL. After what I saw him leading a team that was 4-12 to the Super Bowl, I cannot name 11 other guys that could do that, let alone put up the numbers that he did and be able – let's not forget, we do give him a lot – we don't get – well, people kind of like to mention that he playing in that Kyle Shanahan offense, and maybe that has a lot to do with it. That's not an easy offense. The fact that he's able to run that offense with such ease, that's impressive in itself. You know what I mean? Not every single quarterback has been successful with that type of offense. Matt Ryan obviously has. And after that, I mean, Kirk Cousins was pretty successful in Washington for a little bit when Kyle Shanahan was there. Right, yeah. But not everyone could really play that position under Kyle Shanahan. And in his first full season, he did it perfectly. Led the team to a Super Bowl appearance. So yeah, I would put him there like at number 10. I would not put him. I would not put Dak Prescott over him. To me, Dak Prescott has never been. He's never been a top 10 quarterback for me. And the fact that even you're franchising him, I mean, Jerry Jones, you're franchising him, franchise tagging him for like $31 million. To me, that's a lot of money for Dak Prescott. But that's completely different topic there. I would never put Dak Prescott ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo, especially with what I just saw. If I'm being completely honest, go ahead and put Matt Ryan. Go ahead and put Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is close. I would give Aaron Rodgers just the nod, just because if I see one more season like last year from Aaron Rodgers, then it's a wrap. Okay, let's put Jimmy ahead of him. That's it. That's the only ones. And of course, you have your top 5, which are pretty solidified, and then you throw in Carson Wentz. But that's it.
I think at this point, the only thing that's really going to get Jimmy any love, and even this might not be enough because I feel as though he'll still get the Kyle Shanahan system argument thrown against him. He needs some MVP votes. And for him, I think that's really just going to come down to this. He needs to get over 4,000 yards. He needs to have over 30 touchdowns, and he needs to cut the interceptions in half. I think if he does that, he's going to be similar to 2017 Tom Brady in that same range. We've had this kind of conversation before. When I look at the MVP winners over the last couple of years, obviously we can't really compare him to Lamar. Patrick Mahomes is on a different level. But if you told me the Niners were 12-4 and Jimmy had 4,000 to 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, which I think is doable coming off 27, and had less than 10 interceptions or right at 10 interceptions, MVP candidate right there. And that would be enough to elevate him over like the Matt Ryans, the Carson Wentz, depending how the season plays out, even Lamar if he doesn't take that next step as a passer.
Yep.
So I think that if Jimmy can just do that, he may even put himself top 5 potentially. But, there's a lot of opinions here. I'll just leave it on this. That jawline doesn't lie, and neither do I. So go ahead, hit subscribe for more great Niners content. If you enjoy us, check out our social medias as well. Let us know what you think in the comments, Niners fans. And you guys stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time.